James Corden, the cheeky, lovable host with the golden smile, had the world convinced he was unstoppable. Every carpool was an instant viral hit, every joke an echo of charm and ease. Fans called him the people's host, the man who made even the biggest celebrities seem ordinary. But somewhere beneath the rehearsed laughter, something darker stirred, a shift that no one noticed until it was too late. That on the surface, it looked like success. Corden joked with Adele, sang with Harry Styles, and danced beside Michelle Obama. But behind the smiles, rumors began to whisper through the industry that the friendly facade hid a temper, that fame had sharpened his ego instead of his talent. Still, no one believed it. Not yet. Then came a single moment that cracked the mask. A confrontation on stage. A clash with one of Britain's most respected actors. The tension that night was electric, and for the first time, the world saw something in Corden's eyes that didn't match the laughter. That night would ignite a slow-burning downfall, one that would unravel everything he built. The rise of James Corden wasn't just fame. It was a promise of charm, humility, and joy. But as the lights got brighter, the man behind them began to fade. Before the scandals, before the late-night empire, there was just James, a young actor from London with a loud laugh and an even louder dream. In small comedy clubs and television studios, he hustled his way through bit parts and writing gigs. The breakthrough came with Gavin and Stacey, the show that turned him into a household name across the United Kingdom. The finale drew over 17 million viewers, a national event that felt like a victory parade for its creators. As fame wrapped around him, Corden became the face of British humor, a mix of self-deprecation and heart. He was invited to every event, shaking hands with royalty and rock stars alike. People said he was genuine, down to earth, the kind of star who hadn't forgotten where he came from. And when America came calling, it seemed like destiny. In 2015, he stepped onto the Late Late Show stage, nervous but determined. Few believed a British comedian could replace the beloved Craig Ferguson. But within weeks, the ratings soared. His viral segment, Carpool Karaoke, exploded across the internet. Adele's episode alone broke records, pulling in hundreds of millions of views. He wasn't just hosting a show anymore. He was hosting a global phenomenon. Producers praised his energy. Guests adored his enthusiasm. Even cultural analysts credited him with redefining the late-night format. He made audiences feel like they were part of the conversation, as if they, too, were singing along in the car. The fame machine roared to life, unstoppable. But success has a strange way of changing people. Those closest to Corden noticed subtle shifts. The laughter a little louder, the smiles a little shorter, the patience a little thinner. In interviews, he spoke about how easy it was to get drunk on success. He said it jokingly, but his eyes told a different story. He was no longer the underdog. He was the star. And with that came something dangerous, the belief that he could do no wrong. The year was 2010. The Glamour Women of the Year awards was a polished affair, champagne glasses, elegant dresses, and a room full of celebrities. James Corden was the host, charming and confident, owning the stage as only he could. Everything seemed perfect until Patrick Stewart, the legendary actor known for Star Trek and X-Men, stepped forward to present an award. That's when the air shifted. In front of hundreds, Stewart called him out. "When the presenters are up here," Stewart said, "and the recipients are receiving their awards, don't stand at the back of the stage with your hands in your pockets, looking around as though you wish you were anywhere but here." The audience gasped. Cameras caught the tension, a mix of disbelief and awkward laughter. Corden froze, then smirked. Instead of apologizing, he shot back. "You couldn't be more wrong," he said sharply. "And if it looked like that, I'm so sorry. But when you come up to present an award, just get on with it." What followed was chaos. Barbs turned to insults. Stewart mocked Corden's weight. Corden mocked Stewart's age. The crowd didn't know whether to laugh or hide. "Can someone get a taxi for this old man?" Corden quipped, his voice laced with bitterness. The humor was gone, replaced by something colder. When the video hit the internet, the comments poured in. "I'm embarrassed for James. How can he talk like that to Patrick Stewart?" The incident spread like wildfire, and for the first time, fans began to question if their favorite host was really who they thought he was. Industry insiders whispered that the moment wasn't an accident. It was who he had become, defensive, sharp, unwilling to be challenged. Corden later admitted he had introduced Stewart with respect, but by then, it was too late. The clip had burned itself into public memory. That night marked the first real crack in the golden image. The charm that once felt natural now seemed performative. The laughter felt forced. The mask had slipped, and the world had finally caught a glimpse of the man underneath. After Gavin and Stacey, Corden's fame grew faster than even he could handle. Every door opened. Every headline called him the next big thing. He partied with stars, stayed out all night, and admitted later that he was addicted to being noticed. Success became a mirror that reflected only what he wanted to see, a star adored by millions. In interviews, he confessed that at one point, he believed he was hotter than he actually was. Conversations bored him unless they were about him. Friends began to drift. Some said he changed, that he started treating people differently. Behind the stage lights, he was impatient, irritable, and dismissive. On camera, he was still the cheerful host. The contrast was growing, and it was becoming harder to hide. Staff on productions whispered about his temper. One crew member said he was brilliant at making the audience laugh, but cruel when the cameras were off. The public didn't see it yet. The charm still worked, but the seeds of arrogance had taken root. Fame didn't just inflate his career, it inflated his self-image. The cracks from the Patrick Stewart clash weren't an isolated outburst. They were a preview of a pattern that would repeat itself in bigger, louder, and more public ways. Corden was no longer climbing. He was orbiting his own fame, and the higher he floated, the further he drifted from humility. The studio lights blur. The cameras roll. A glossy black SUV glides through Los Angeles, music thumping and celebrities laughing in the passenger seat. For years, fans believed every note was real, that James Corden actually drove these megastars through the city as they sang their hearts out. The illusion was perfect, until one winter afternoon in 2020 a fan's phone camera caught something odd. Corden's car being pulled by a flatbed truck. He wasn't driving at all. Within hours, the clip went viral, racking up millions of views. People stared, replayed, zoomed in. Wait, is this fake? Comments flooded every feed. Overnight, carpool karaoke, once a symbol of authenticity, became a punchline. Corden tried to joke it off on air. He claimed it only happened 5% of the time, even listing which guests had been towed. But the laughter fell flat. Viewers weren't amused. They felt duped. Fans who had cried watching Adele sing, who'd smiled as Paul McCartney reminisced about Liverpool, suddenly saw green screen trickery instead of friendship behind closed doors. Producers defended the decision as a safety measure. But online, outrage boiled. The show that had defined Corden's career was now tainted with disbelief. Comment sections turned hostile. If he faked this, what else is fake? Others simply wrote, "The mask is slipping." In the weeks that followed, ratings dipped. Clips that once drew joy now carried a quiet bitterness. For Corden, this wasn't just a rumor. It was the first time his honesty was questioned on a global scale. And in show business, once trust is gone, every smile looks rehearsed. Then came the night that shattered his bond with one of the most powerful fan communities on Earth. During a light segment on The Late Late Show, Corden joked about the Korean supergroup BTS speaking at the United Nations. He called the moment unusual and described their audience as 15-year-old girls. The laughter in the studio was mild, but outside those walls, the reaction was nuclear. Within hours, hashtags calling him disrespectful trended worldwide. Fans from Seoul to Sao Paulo flooded timelines with fury. They weren't just defending an idol. They were defending representation, culture, and pride. Clips of the monologue replayed endlessly, each word dissected. Commentators pointed out that BTS's UN speech wasn't a gimmick. It was a symbol of global youth empowerment. To belittle it, even as a joke, felt like arrogance disguised as humor. As the outrage spread, fan accounts that once shared carpool karaoke highlights began deleting them. Petitions to remove Corden from future broadcasts gained thousands of signatures overnight. He turned respect into mockery. One post read, "When Corden tried to apologize on a later episode, his tone was awkward, uncertain. He praised BTS, claimed he'd been misunderstood, but the damage had already calcified." For millions, the betrayal wasn't about a single remark. It was about realizing that their friendly host could punch down when the cameras were rolling. This was no longer a misunderstanding. It was a fracture that revealed how thin his charm had become. October 2022. The elegant hum of Balthazar restaurant in New York breaks into chaos. Witnesses stare as a furious James Corden raises his voice at a waiter. The problem? A trace of egg white in his wife's omelette. "Maybe I should go cook it myself," he shouts, slamming his hand against the table. Glasses tremble. The server stammers an apology, but Corden's anger only sharpens. Other diners fall silent. Some lift their phones. In minutes, the moment becomes legend. That night, Keith McNally, the restaurant's owner, posts on Instagram, calling Corden a tiny cretin of a man and the most abusive customer in 25 years. Screenshots spread like wildfire. Fans who once defended him now shake their heads. Soon, more stories surface. Assistants claiming he snapped at them for minor mistakes. Audience members recalling cold stares during tapings. Extras describing him as impossible to please. It's as if one outburst unlocked a vault of every bad encounter he'd ever had. Under pressure, Corden apologizes on his show. He sits beneath the stage lights, saying, "I made a rude comment, and it was wrong. I'm sorry," but the words land hollow. His grin wavers. People notice he had earlier denied the incident entirely. The apology feels rehearsed, another performance. The clip ends. But the court of public opinion doesn't. Memes flood Twitter, photos of omelets captioned, "James Corden's kryptonite." Late-night rivals make jokes about restaurant etiquette. The internet has decided, this time, the charm won't save him. As the outrage spirals, former colleagues begin to speak. Craig Duncan, a television director who once worked with Corden, calls him the most unpleasant man I've ever met in a studio. Crew members recall being called idiots when shots took too long. One viral clip shows him unable to name two of his own cameramen during a game segment. Laughter erupts from the audience, but online, viewers see something else. A boss who never learned their names. Behind the glamour of the Late Late Show, stories of exhaustion circulate. Writers quit mid-season. Stagehands whisper that he barely greets them. When compared to hosts like Jimmy Fallon or Stephen Colbert, who chat warmly with their staff, Corden's detachment looks stark. Fans begin piecing the puzzle together. The restaurant incident, the BTS comment, the Patrick Stewart clash, each one now fits a larger pattern. What once looked like unlucky moments start to feel like glimpses of the real man behind the smile. Hollywood notices, too. Invitations slow. Awards committees distance themselves. The friendly Brit who once represented warmth now carries a reputation for arrogance. Deals stall, collaborations fade, and even the carpool karaoke brand loses its magic. The higher he had climbed, the steeper the fall now appeared. And yet, in interviews, he insists he's misunderstood, that the media exaggerates. But the audience has already voted, with their eyes, their clicks, and their silence. April 2022. A somber monologue opens the Late Late Show. The crowd cheers as Corden thanks them, but his eyes look distant. He announces that the next season will be his last. "I've decided to sign on for one more year. And then that'll be it," he says softly. Applause fills the room, yet an invisible tension lingers. Everyone knows this isn't just a career choice. It's an escape. Outside the studio, tabloids frame it differently. CBS star steps down amid controversies. Insiders hint that executives are relieved. In backrooms, producers discuss how the brand can recover without him. Corden claims he wants to return to the UK, to spend time with family, to write again. But most people hear a subtext, a host stepping off stage before being pushed. When the final season airs, ratings slump. Even carpool karaoke struggles to recreate its old sparkle. Guests smile, but the warmth is missing. Behind every note, there's the shadow of every scandal. As the final episode wraps, Corden thanks his team. The applause fades. Cameras cut. He lingers for a moment, staring at the empty seats. The same seats once filled with fans who adored him. For the first time, silence follows him home. After the curtain falls, the internet does not forget. Comment sections under old clips fill with regret. "I used to love this show. He fooled us all." Former fans unfollow in droves. Memes about arrogance, omelets, and fake car rides outnumber the compliments. Streaming networks grow cautious. Offers slow. Every potential comeback project is met with skepticism. Even when rumors of a Gavin and Stacey reunion surface, Discussions online circle back to his controversies. His name now triggers eye rolls instead of laughter. In interviews, he tries to sound reflective. He admits therapy helped him recognize his flaws. He talks about pressure, exhaustion, the burden of being on all the time. Some sympathize, but most remain unmoved. Words without visible change no longer convince anyone. Public perception hardens. James Corden, once the golden boy of late night, becomes a cautionary tale about ego and authenticity. The same media that once crowned him now uses his name as shorthand for celebrity entitlement. When the laughter stops, what remains is a mirror, one that reflects the difference between image and integrity. James Corden's story isn't just about fame lost. It's about the cost of forgetting humility. Every scandal, every clip, every viral backlash traces back to the same core flaw, the belief that charm could outshine accountability. But fame is temporary, and the internet never sleeps. The audience that builds you can just as quickly dismantle you once the truth leaks through the cracks. Corden's legacy now serves as a reminder that likability is not invincibility. Fans don't demand perfection, they demand sincerity. One genuine apology could have changed everything, but a string of half-hearted ones turned small mistakes into defining moments. In the end, his greatest lesson echoes beyond Hollywood. Reputation is borrowed, not owned. It can vanish overnight. The camera pans out. The lights dim. A chair sits empty on a late-night stage that once symbolized laughter and connection. On the screens across the world, the same question lingers. How did one of television's brightest hosts become the architect of his own downfall? And somewhere in the silence that follows, the answer feels painfully clear.